We're going to be talking today about the season of release, choosing forgiveness as your gift to yourself. Okay. We know I'm glad you're here too, and I'm glad to be here on this earth for another day, and that's a blessing in itself. Okay, and so thank you to Rod for joining us today. I'm waiting for our guest. Okay, she may be having some technical difficulties, as we all do. You know, that's why I decided to go ahead and be live, because I don't want to leave you guys hanging. Okay, we can sit here and have a conversation regardless if the Reverend Doctor shows up or not. Okay, life has to move on. You know, it's going to move on with or without us. Okay, that's the reality. So, as I said, we're going to be talking today about the season of release, choosing forgiveness as your gift to yourself. Okay, because we know each and every one of us are giving from the moment we wake up in the morning till we go to sleep. Okay, what do we give to ourselves? Because usually by the end of the day, you're so tired, you're like, I'll give myself something tomorrow. When tomorrow comes, basically we're repeating the same thing over and over and over and over again, putting ourselves last. Okay? We got to stop doing that. Okay? Now, Juliana says, thank you for talking about this, especially during the holidays when forgiveness can be reduced to a thing to do. Yes, that's why I chose today. Me and the Reverend Doctor chose today because of the holidays coming up. I've already started feeling the holiday blues. Okay. So the thing of it is, we have to first forgive ourselves before we can seek forgiveness to forgive others, okay? And if we haven't done that, that's where we have to start. That's where forgiveness has to start. I'm just being honest. I'm starting with myself, okay? Okay, Richard says, Margaret, please underscore that I don't do very much at all, and I am willing to chat from my bedside. That's it. That speaks volumes right there, Richard. Don't discount yourself or your abilities, because you are an integral part of this community. Okay? And I want you to know that. All right? Hello, Phyllis. Thank you for joining us. Okay, 1 minute. Daily Boost says, I'm curious, are you half in the picture? Probably. I can't tell from here, Thank you for bringing that up. Scott left. Okay, well, maybe Scott has something to do. It's okay. Okay? We got to move on. Scott understands that we have to move on whether he's here or not. You know what I'm saying? He can catch the replay. Okay? My picture's probably off. Okay? When I look at it, I'll say, okay, maybe I need to switch it to landscape or what's the other one? Portrait. As long as you can hear me, that's really the most important thing. I don't like that, because I'm a perfectionist. So if I can figure out how to fix my iPad or my phone so I'm in the middle of the screen, now I want to do that, okay? So I'm not sure if the Reverend Doctor is going to be able to join us, but we're going to proceed anyway. That's why I always have a plan B, just in case. Okay? Thank you so much, Juliana. I appreciate that, because I was gonna ask the Reverend Doctor, was I centered before we went live, and she wasn't here, so I have to depend on you guys, and I appreciate that sincerely. So what we were talking about, I'm still gonna try to get the Reverend Doctor in the meantime, but I'm gonna continue to talk, okay? And if God wants her here, she'll be here, okay? So there we go. We're talking about forgiveness, but we have to first start with ourselves as far as forgiveness. And to be honest with you, there's a lot of things that I haven't shared for several reasons. Okay? Oh, you seeing my good side? I always prefer that people see my good side, because my mama always taught me you get more flies with honey than you can with salt, because people repel salt. I mean, some people like salt, but it's not good for your pressure. Okay? It causes bloating and all these things. I prefer not salt. If I have to choose between the two, I'll take the sweet over the salty. Okay? To each their own. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you what I prefer. All right. So we were talking about this forgiveness thing. There's a lot of things that I've been carrying around with me from my childhood. Let's keep it real, because I haven't been able to break that chain. Okay, it's a chain. It's holding me onto this tree. I'm gonna call it like it is. It's holding me onto this tree, and I can't escape. I only have so much. Like people chain dogs to a tree or whatever. I'm like, well, why have a dog if you got to train him out? If you got to chain him outside, what good is it? Okay. Anyway, that's diverting from the conversation. So I'm still chained to this tree, and I tried everything I could to break free from it. Okay. What this tree is, and this chain represents is limiting beliefs. Okay. Uh, Imposter syndrome. Okay. Uh, People pleasing. I'm sure some self-sabotage. I can go on and on and on. You guys get the picture, okay? Because when I start talking about this stuff, start taking your energy down. That's why I was like, oh, okay. What can we do to bring our energy up? We release ourselves from this tree through forgiveness. But to be able to forgive, there's some things that we just have to accept. Some things we're just going to never get answers to. Let's keep it real. I may not never find out what time I was actually born. I may not never find out from my mother, what possessed her to have this relationship with my father, knowing he was married, a minister, knowing he's not going to leave his wife for you, and that you're going to just get crumbs that he decided to leave off the table. You ain't going to see him on no holidays or anything like that. He's going to grace you when he feels he can get something from you. Being a narcissist, a womanizer, and everything else, guys like him back in those days, he had a job in Chrysler, you know, he also was a manager of an apartment building, okay? And he said he's a minister. That's going to elevate him up high then. Oh, this is reverend. Okay, that gives him through a lot of doors that he couldn't necessarily get in because he's a reverend. Okay, all right. He's just so wolf in sheep clothing. All right, whatever. There's a lot of those out there in many ways. You can sense them. You can sense them when they come. When they come in my DMs, automatically I get this chill, and it's not a good chill. And I'm like, okay, it's time to mute this person because I don't want to have to go down this way. I'm not going back around that way, okay? That's why I decided to stay single, okay? Every relationship ended up the same way, the same MO, the same person, my father, okay? That's because I didn't break that curse, okay? What is it about these person, okay? They have all the qualities I'm looking for in a mate. That's what they're going to show you up front anyway. And then once they get their claws into you, then you have to see the other side, okay? So it's like, started with my mother, then my brother, then the members of my family. So to the point where I'm completely ostracized and alone, okay? So it's like, okay, there's got to be something else. So I'm keep carrying all these things around with me and unable to break free of these chains. Like I said, it's holding me to this tree. I done traveled all the way around the world, yet I'm still attached to this freaking tree over here. Okay? So I'm gonna still keep trying to get the reverend because we're talking about forgiveness. So how do I get through all these things? Okay? Is it gonna help me to dwell on it? Is it gonna help me to sit on a pity pot and say, whoa, it's me? Oh, this is me. Why is this happening to me? Look at the world. Okay? The world is going through much more difficulties and challenges than I am. When you start listening to other people's story, then you realize your story is really trivial in compared to yours. And I'm like, damn. So look outside yourself and say, what is it benefiting me holding on to all of these things that I can't do anything about? And all those people that may have offended you, may have taken advantage of you, and didn't give a shit about you, they're going on with their life. They're living their best life while we're sitting here wondering how I'm going to put the pieces to my broken life back together. I tell you, one step at a time. Cut the cord, let that shit go. Because them people don't think about you. They don't care about you. They don't even know that you exist. Honestly. Okay, they say, oh, you upset? Upset about what? That's what they say. They don't see why you upset. And honestly, I don't either. Because we can't cry over spilled milk. It's already spilled. So what you gonna do? You gonna clean it up? You gonna get up off the floor that you don't fell off? And you're gonna put the shattered pieces of your life back together. Because you ain't gonna give nobody the satisfaction to say, I broke you. I broke her and I left her penniless, meaningless, and people get off onto that. People get off into that shit. That just gives me the fuel to show you, oh no, I'm not gonna stay down there on that flow. Okay? I'm gonna get off that pity pot. And what's the next step I'm gonna take that's gonna bring me up higher? Okay? So it starts with one simple act. Okay? What can you change? Okay? Maybe you can't change nothing. Not in that relationship or whatever. When you figure it out and realize ain't nothing I can change here, you move on. I just heard that Candy Burris, she got divorced after 11 years. She probably was in misery for maybe 3 or 4 years before she decided to do that. I mean, she talked about all the sleepless nights that she spent alone, okay? And her husband was off with somebody else, that they had that kind of relationship. You can do what you want to do within reason. I don't know what their relationship was or what the agreement is. But when you realize something is not satisfying you in any way at all, cut your losses and move on, okay? We have to first forgive ourselves, okay? Okay, so I got in with the wrong person. Okay, such is life. We all do that. We do it based on maybe our belongingness. Maybe at that time that person looked good or whatever, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna fulfill a need. Fulfill your needs don't mean you got to get carried away. Okay, all right. Sometimes the thing that you want most is the thing that you need to stay away from because it's not going to benefit you, and in the end, you're going to end up losing. So, is that instant gratification going to be worth the price you're going to pay for it later on down the road? And you might be like, no, it's not. Okay. All right, what can I do instead? Okay. There's a lot you can do instead. Okay. So, I'm not really sure what happened to the Reverend, and we're going to try to get her back. We're talking about forgiveness. Okay. It's like, okay, what is forgiveness? It's not for the other person because, like I said, the other person that offended you or whatever, they done moved on with their life. They don't give a damn about you. The forgiveness is for you to move on, okay? It's for you to seek the healing, okay, that you need to move on in your life, okay? So when we talk about that, it's like, okay, I made a mistake, first of all, for getting involved with this person, whether it was just a friend, whether it was just a business deal, whether it was a marriage, or maybe it was just a relationship. Okay, all right, what did I learn from that? Always look at what you learn from it, not the other side, because it's always a lesson, okay? A lot of times those lessons comes from listening to our bodies, and when the body tell us this is the wrong type of person that you want to be involved with, okay? And then why is really not as important as I shouldn't be dealing with them in the first place, okay? When your body tell you that and your intuition, listen, okay? A lot of times I made a decision anyway. When you're dealing with business, sometimes you have to do that in order to elevate your selves in life, okay? You have to make certain sacrifices, okay? There's a sacrifice. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, okay? So we still have to take a risk, because any risk is better sitting on the sideline and watching all the buses pass you by while everybody else is living life. And you wondering, what is your life all about? Okay? So We have to release all of these things, all these negative things. Say it's nothing I can do about it. Okay. Holding on to this shit is just killing me. Okay. It's giving me cancer. It's giving me stress. It's giving me worry. It's not benefiting me at all. So why hold on to it? Okay. Let it go. If that means you have to walk away from the relationship, walk away and start over, that's the best time. I can't tell you how many times I've started over. I walked away from a house in Detroit, okay? I had paid $90,000 for that house, okay? And I walked away because the market went bad, okay? They said, oh, you got to put a roof on this house. You got to do this. You got to do that. And they telling me, oh, the house is only going to be, you probably would only get $10,000 from it. I'm like, it's not worth it. My daughter, she didn't want it. She couldn't handle it financially anyway because she would have ended up losing the house anyway. So I'm like, I walked away. I signed it over to someone else. I'm like, this is yours. You wanted the house, you know, you can have it. You know, that's the only reason, honestly, you was probably here in the first place to see what you could get from me. So this is your gift. This is your parting gift. Okay. I walked away and I had no regrets about it. Okay. Period. Because it was my life. Was my life worth that house? No, it was not. Because I gained so much more as a result. Okay. And so when you see things are not benefiting you, get rid of it. How long did it take me to get over that? It took me a while because I can't blame the other person. It was me. Okay. My codependent behavior, okay, got me in this situation in the first place. So when we realized our decision making from yesterday or the day before affects the results today, we always need to look within before we start pointing the finger outward. Look in the freaking mirror. The problem is you. Okay? You're the problem, not the other person. So when we realize who the problem is and what our next step should be, and that's where we get to acceptance, okay? Then making it easier for us to forgive ourselves and forgive others, okay? That whole situation was my fault. It was not the other individual's fault, period. Claim ownership for your part that you played. You can't worry about what others. You can't change them anyway. So that's where we are. Through self-reflection and repeated effort, okay? That begins our willingness to just let go and let God, okay, guide your path, okay? When you let God guide your path, how can you lose, okay? And that is your gift to yourself, okay? And you deserve that. You know, while we sitting up here eating dinner alone, everybody else sitting up enjoying themselves and having a good time, and don't give your power away to even worry about it. Fix yourself the best meal that you've ever had and sit there, if necessary, like I said, being grateful that you have a meal to eat. First of all, look at all the people that lost SNAP. What are they going to eat this holiday season? Who's going to be there for them? Who's going to be there for all the people who, like us, family have deserted them and don't even want you around? Okay? We going to sit on the day before. Okay? That's what I'm talking about. You lost SNAP. That's what I'm saying. Did you deserve that? Based on somebody else's decisions about how you should live? Okay? Well, on the pre-holiday, I'm going to sit there and have a meal with whoever wants to eat. Okay? I want to be able to go to the refrigerator, okay, and pick and choose what I want to eat. A lot of people don't have that luxury. Okay? So when we talk about forgiveness, okay, we also have to talk about gratitude. Okay? I don't care how low down we get, okay, in on life, there's something to always be grateful for, even if it's just life itself. Because then you have the ability to do much more in the world, not for just yourself, but for other people. Okay? So, how can we support you today? 1 minute daily boost. Do you have like a buy me coffee? Uh, if so, you should maybe put it in the chat, okay? And when I send this out, I'll include that and ask people to give you a contribution, okay? Nobody should have to go hungry because the people in the Congress said you don't need it or you don't deserve it. Oh, buy me coffee or whatever. You should set one of those accounts up for yourself, which is free, by the way. People can donate to you. Okay? We have to find other ways to meet our needs. Okay? By meeting our needs, we'll be able to hopefully satisfy some of our wants as well. But they're not so important. Okay? The most important thing is to satisfy our needs. That's our basic needs is part of the hierarchy, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you don't meet your basic needs, that's your foundation. How the hell are you going to have experiential growth? Okay, you can't. Okay, baby, so set that account up, okay? Make sure you put it out. Okay, there she is, okay? She's supposed to come when she's called, and now she's here. Okay? Thank you so much, Reverend. And I applaud you. So 1 minute daily boost. Tell me that you are going to set up that buy me coffee where people can contribute to you because nobody should have to be suffering. Not only is it holiday, but you saw it's freezing here outside. You know, people dying of hypothermia. And that should not be something that anybody have to go through. Okay, most of the people, okay, they are veterans, okay? Or they might be a little mentally touched or whatever. I don't know. But they're handicapped in one way, form, or fashion, okay? And they deserve our care, okay? They deserve a hot meal. When I was growing up in Detroit, you can go certain places on the holiday, Thanksgiving and Christmas. You could go get a hot meal, okay, and a bed. That's the very least that the government. I don't know. Maybe that's not the government, okay? Maybe it's these nonprofit organizations who get the money from the government, but not for free. There's a cost associated with everything. And even when I was in the military, we was in Iraq, you know, even when I was in Israel, we all had meals, okay? That's the very least. A hot meal, a kind word, and a bed, okay? Period. Yeah, Daily Boost do that. You know what I'm saying? I would even contribute a few dollars. A few dollars is better than none at all, okay? Make sure you do that, okay? Because like I said, nobody should have to be alone on the holiday. And nobody should have to go without a meal, period. Let me see if I can get the Reverend Doctor in here again. Okay, we was talking, I done probably veered off subject. Anyway, we're talking about giving ourselves this gift, okay? Because we're in this situation, okay, that we can't depend on others. So what gift can we give to ourselves, okay, today? All right. I can't depend on nobody out there. Okay. That's always my attitude. So that means if somebody come up with a kind word to me or give me anything, that's a blessing because usually I don't get nothing. Okay. I'm the one usually giving all the time. Okay. But I really can't say that because all of you guys give me things in so many ways that money cannot buy. Period. Okay. And that is loyalty. That is you show me respect. Okay. You show me that I'm valuable. Okay. And that so that is a gift that you give me. And the gift that we give others is really not monetarily. Love. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Love. Exactly. And that's priceless. And that cost is subjective. Okay, to everybody, that's however they feel what love is. Okay, so our gift to ourselves. Okay, like I said, forgiveness is not about others. It's about unburdening ourselves to release past pain. Okay, to reclaim our energy and well-being. Okay, now who don't want that for themselves? Okay, so you see that forgiveness transforms lives in positive ways. Our language is everything because by talking positive to ourselves, we can talk positive to others and we ignite this energy and this emotion in the world beyond comprehension. Okay? So, on that note, I am so honored today to be joined by Dr. Michelle Wadleigh. Thank you so much, Doctor. And I told them that you would be here today when you needed to be.
I'm so sorry. I was having a lot of technical issues, and then suddenly I found you. So I'm just going to get me set up here so I can watch you easily. There you go. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Reverend.
Good morning, Reverend.
I have a echo. Was there echo? No. Okay, we're good. I wanted to say that I was so touched by the live session that you had with Reverend Evelyn that on forgiveness that I reached out to you while you were on the live. That's just my that's just me, okay?
That's the way you roll.
Exactly. Absolutely. When the spirit is moving, okay, and I felt that energy, I said, I have to do this because I'm so busy during the day. It's quickly for me to forget. But how could I forget you? You know what I'm saying? I could not forget that, okay? And so as leaders and humans, our greatest growth comes from letting go of the old hurts. Okay. And Reverend here stands out for her actionable, compassionate approach to forgiveness. Okay. Blending metaphysical wisdom and practical discipline. Okay. She reminds us of forgiveness isn't about forgiving what happened, it's about setting yourself free. Okay. And so you talked about forgiveness saved your life. Okay. This is not just a lofty sentiment, it's a lived truth, guiding those ready to release resentment and embrace authentic leadership.
Yes.
Okay. And your own journey, described both in Substack and book, frames forgiveness as a life-saving necessity, essential not only for personal well-being, healing, but for unlocking creativity, progress, and peace. So, Reverend, would you please tell us about your journey and what brought you to Substack?
What brought me to Substack? That's the part you want me to talk about? Or you mean
No,
today?
before and what brought you to Substack?
Well, Substack is just a vehicle for sharing, what's going on, but it's funny before, I'm about to start a series of articles on Substack because what I wanna do is I want to normalize the conversation around this kind of healing, and right now with, all the conversations in the, in the news about the Epstein files and everything, boy, it's been around for a while, but it's still not in the public, um it's not a popular conversation in the public eye. People don't know how to be in the heavy conversation. People don't necessarily wanna look at the underbelly. People have real struggle realizing that most abuse hangs happens right under your roof, or right with your neighbor, or right with the babysitter, and I'm sorry to say it, but most people don't get it. They don't get that that's going on all the time. Even when I was first in my pulpit 25 years ago, I always talked about this stuff. I always talked about paying attention to what was going on around you and right under your roof. I always asked people to pay attention to abuse and sex trafficking, really not fun conversations for a Sunday morning for a church service. But I refused to have my people be unaware. I didn't want my congregants and my members to be blind and unaware. I wanted them to at least, while it is distasteful and painful, on my watch, I wanted them to know. So I know it's not a popular conversation. I know it's a painful conversation, but I know what the statistics are. And right around you, right around me, and I recently found out some new information about family members that I didn't know. You have to be willing to look at the ugly. Yeah, and I say ugly, I mean that which we might label as evil, or, the kinda the wrongdoing. You have to be willing to look it in the eye, because if you're not, you're not gonna save your children, your grandchildren. Yes, specifically granddaughters, but not granddaughters only. And it happens in a blink of an eye. Someone being at the mercy of an event, a single event can traumatize and redirect a child's direction of their life. It only takes a moment for a child to not feel safe in the world. It only takes a moment. And those of us who've been through this, of which, I am one, I had to pull up my big girl panties and take care of my own life. So, I'm so grateful that I don't live at the mercy of those memories and those things, but it wasn't easy. I fought for it. I fought for my freedom. I fought to be clear. I fought to not be at the mercy of all those things. And so what I'll say in class very often is I am who I am, not despite my mother and my father, but because of them. Because as I healed from them, I became who I am. So now I can hold your hand, and I can hold the
Thank you.
hand of others. And that's what I do for a living. That's why I wrote both the forgiveness book and the shadow book. I wrote it to give a language to individuals. You know, for those who are Christian, and Jesus is a savior for them, reading what he wrote doesn't mean you know how to get there, right? And I'm sorry to say that, but it doesn't necessarily mean you know how to get there. So what I've tried to do is I've tried to lay the path out gentle, a slow path. And I've also acknowledged that the healing is spiritual, metaphysical, emotional, and psychological, and some of it is people don't realize. So people come into my classes. I teach regular forgiveness classes I don't know if there's a way of, if anyone wants to look me up at michellewadleigh.com, that's where you'll find all this information. We have no classes until January, but the point is, in the classes, I call it building the forgiveness muscle. So we start gently. And then the point of the whole course and the book is to get on top of the old, but then develop new habits so that we don't have to forgive in the future. What that means is if I'm doing my work and I'm living a life of non-judgment, then and I'm not walking around making you wrong, complaining about you, then I don't have a reason to need to forgive you either. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So the goal is to let go of what was, but the goal part 2 is to not be at the mercy of things. Is to learn how to speak your voice, learn how to have both soft and hard boundaries. To learn how to say, "Oh, hell no." Just hell no. And it takes a lot. It does take a lot of training. It does.
Okay, I just want to
Yeah.
ask you about something before
Mhm.
you go on.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
talked about hard and soft boundaries. Tell us what they are and how you tell the difference.
Okay, so, the truth is, there's a I didn't write about hard boundaries, but I wrote about soft boundaries a while ago, so if anybody wants to investigate my Substack, it's in there, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So, hard boundaries are the very real, "You're not gonna be in my life anymore." Not engaging someone, not being because forgiveness gets a bad rap, and we suddenly think to ourselves that, we have to be kind. Well, no, hell no. Not when you're being abused, not when you're being disrespected. Um, being nice, you can get addicted to being nice, but when your nice is not met with respect and kindness and all of that, then no, hell no. So I make sure I want people to understand you're not meant to be a doormat. You're not meant to be a doormat, not now, not ever. So it's critical that we create boundaries, and the hard boundaries are choosing not to be in someone's company, the choosing, it's harder with family, but even with family, and I've seen it. I've seen people just choose not to be in someone's company, and it was right. Soft boundaries are a little bit different. They're just, taking your power back, or maybe you're on a job. You work somewhere where you can't just leave the job, but you can and here's the thing, in our studies today of quantum, now I've always believed this anyway, quantum has just given us some language. When you get right with yourself and when you touch that place inside of you of self-worth, you will cease tolerating anything other than kindness, respect, um, compassion. And so soft boundaries comes from the inside saying, I'm worthy, I'm worthy, I'm worthy. And in that, as my self-worth and my self-awareness and my consciousness raises, I won't engage. I won't engage people that are not loving on me.
I love that. I love that. So, 1 minute boost says soft boundaries have some
Yep.
flexibility as hard boundaries are non-negotiable.
Well, hard boundaries, the other way to recognize the difference is the hard boundaries are the ones that are fairly rigid and on the outside. Softer boundaries are inner boundaries that we make when we make life transforming decisions about ourselves. Um and if you're doing this, and I don't know the what your subscribers subscribe to, mentally and emotionally, but what I know is when I grow me, terrible English, But when I grow me and I choose to be the me that I want to be, then what happens is there is a very natural shift in who I engage. I attract a whole different type of person into my world. Margaret, I was on Reverend Evelyn's podcast. I didn't reach out to you. All of a sudden, you were just there. So there was a natural resonance, and those kind of things. When we heal, we change our resonance, and we change how we show up. That's that leads to soft boundaries, and that's what soft boundaries are made of. Your own self-awareness and loving yourself more than you've ever loved yourself before in your life. And so forgiveness is this, folks, is saying, I love myself enough not to be at the mercy of that pain. I love myself enough not to be victim of my circumstances or of my past. I love myself enough to free myself from all those things. For me, that's what it's about.
Uh, yes, and contemporary research validates your perspective.
Mhm,
Forgiveness therapy has been linked to increased hope,
mhm,
decrease anxiety, and depression.
mhm.
Okay. In fact, practicing forgiveness over a 5-week period can substantially decrease perceived stress and improve psychological well being.
And I just wanna say, I invite all of your listeners, if you go to my well, it's not there right now, but if you get on the mailing list, in January, we're doing a 31-day a month of 31-day, excuse me, forgiveness challenge. And I will guide everybody on a daily basis through different things. And for example, very often we don't look at our ancestors, right? Our
Right.
ancestors didn't mean to hand down the stuff they handed down. They didn't mean to. They it's There was a lack of skill very often depending upon the age that you are and what you're part of. But the fact is that a lot of our pain, our suffering, our self-image, our worldview has been adopted by our ancestors. So if you go back to the question about the soft boundaries, I don't wanna condemn my ancestors. I wanna appreciate who they are and love on them. I wanna love on them, but I do wanna find myself freed from their impact. And there's some things that you all are experiencing. There's some fears, some doubt, some habits which you don't know you adopted from it came down the ancestral line. But what I seek to do, both myself, for my family, for my students, and for my readers, is I ask you to position yourself and realize the lineage is from what was, but our legacy is what we get to leave, but we're the change agent. We're the one when we heal, we change the trajectory of our legacy, and when I forgive and don't condemn my ancestors, my legacy is gonna be gentler and more loving, and I'll go through it more consciously. I will choose to love consciously. Yeah.
I love that. Now, your book, Forgiveness, a workbook for emotional and spiritual freedom and forgiveness, a path, a promise,
No,
a way of life.
yeah, Forgiveness About the Promise, A Way of Life was the first edition, and then this new publisher republished it. But the first name you said was here, I'll show you again. Let me just get this out of here. I was posting my phone on it. That's the new one, and it's available on, unfortunately, I know a lot of people are off of Amazon, I get it, but it's also available through, um, uh, Barnes& and Noble and Thrift and many other places, and it's on Audible. And if you have
Perfect.
if you have subscription to Spotify, the book is available on Spotify with your subscription, I'm told. So I don't really know how much of Spotify works, but I guess if you have a paid subscription, you get certain things as part of it. And so I I I I don't get through these conversations without getting a little bit emotional, I have to tell you.
It's okay.
I just There's so many people suffering all around us. Um, and I don't think it's obvious very often. I know it's not obvious that forgiveness can be a gigantic leap forward in letting go of that pain. Cutting cords from you know, even little things like if you have a relationship that no longer serves you and it really doesn't serve you, you don't have to have an angry, painful conversation about it. You can just love yourself enough to let it go. Like, stop trying to drink from an empty well. This isn't it. And none of this is new. Nothing I'm saying is new. I just, I guess it's my turn in this lifetime to say it in a different way. And, I know some people think it's completely a God thing. Well, God is in all things all the time, no matter what. Got that. Of course, that's my belief. However, sometimes the pain of your past gets stuck in your subconscious and in the cells of your body. So you have to learn how to use some hypnosis. You have to learn how to go deep within the subconscious. Um, You have to learn to do some somatic work, breath work, to release the pain in the cells. And some of the pain, some of the stories, all of that's been living in you longest, it really needs some TLC. And if you're fortunate, you know how to do it alone. I didn't. I needed somebody. I needed a
Uh,
hand.
he said a 1 minute daily boost said, "Got to get through the shame."
Oh, honey, we don't have enough time. And you're right. You are 100% correct. And that shame is adopted both from things that we've done and things that we were victim of. Because as children, and so now he's making me go in a new direction, but good direction. People who are abused as children think it was their fault. They adopt the shame, thinking they attracted it. They didn't know how to say no. They didn't know how to speak their mind, and so that is one of the first places where we adopt shame and where it lives in us. And it is and Gabor Mate is master of this conversation. He says that trauma is not what happened to us, it's what happened inside of us. So, for example, horrible example, but staying on his subject, if we trained our children, and especially our little girls, and if you have children, any of you have children, you listen to me. Don't train your girls to be nice. Train them to be honest and train them to speak their mind. Because if something were to happen, I have 4 grandchildren. And if something ever happened to my granddaughter, but if we encouraged her to always speak her mind and speak out loud, and if something, God forbid, ever happened to us, but she spoke it right away, she would have an army of people surrounding her, right? But we don't do that. We we haven't taught our children to speak their mind. So what happens is if she didn't say something, She internalizes it. Our children, me, I internalized it, internalized the pain, internalized the suffering, and didn't know how to get out from under it for decades. So the shame is it's gross how we adopt it even when it's not ours. It's painful. It's really, really painful.
So then there's guilt.
Well, guilt, and I use Brené Brown's distinction here. Brené Brown says that guilt is when you do something wrong, shame is when you think you're wrong. Major distinction, fantastic distinction. I don't mind guilt. You know why? Guilt, I feel like, is that feeling that lets us know, maybe we've done something we shouldn't have. So it causes us to be a little bit more conscious, you know? So if I'm feeling guilty, I'm gonna ask myself, what am I why am I feeling guilty? And I'm gonna pay attention to that because maybe I crossed a line that I shouldn't have crossed. So guilt is not something to, 'cause I remember having this almost argument one time with somebody. Oh, no one should ever feel guilty about anything. I'm like, well, it's kind of a self-managing tool. It's a tool to manage your own behavior. If you're feeling guilty about something, at least ask the question, what did I do here? Should I look at this? Should I undo this? And I want to say to you all, since it is the week before Thanksgiving, if you are capable of making amends at this time, oh, dear God, do so. Now, I use the 12-step rule. 12 steppers, they have this down to a science. Oh, there you go. And that is, if you making amends harm someone, don't do it. Only do it if it frees both people. That's my language, that's my language about it. But, and I have, as a minister, I have facilitated many, many, many life celebrations, and I never leave a celebration of life where I don't say to people 2 things: "Call your mother," and tell people you love them and forgive them, because you don't know how long you got. You don't know how long you have with somebody. And trust me, it's bittersweet when someone leaves and then you can't speak the words that you wanna speak. If you've been if you know you've been unkind to your kids, and even if you know, "God, I adopted unskilled behavior," clean it up. Do it now. Do it now. Not by ignoring the pain, but by really looking at it. By really looking at it. I have 3 sons, and the other night we had a conversation because, I have my husband is ill. He's not dying now, but he's got a cancer that seems incurable, and so I had to call my boys together and have a conversation with them, and it was very tender. The point of the conversation was for them to know that while I might look strong because you know, I've raised 3 sons, one of them mostly alone. I've gotten through having not 2 nickels to rub together. You know, I'm I might be privileged because 'cause I'm white, but I'm not privileged for any other reason. Being, so but to have that conversation with them, to say to them, "Please don't think I'm strong right now when I'm not." And the reason why I'm bringing that up now is because when you have those kind of conversations with your children, with your offspring, where you're authentic and it's loving and it's compassionate, you can do that most easily if you've cleaned up your stuff, if the vessel of you has been cleaned up. That makes sense, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't save the best parts of us for outside the home.
You know why? Because they're not going to be fully appreciated anyway. That's just my opinion.
Wait, say that again?
I said I feel that's true because it's not going to be appreciated completely anyway. So it
Appreciated
should
by
start.
whom?
It should start in the home, and
Oh,
the people that love you will appreciate you, and also take those same values to their
right.
family.
But you know what? They might not appreciate you. Do it
Right.
anyway. Do it anyway. That's what Mother Teresa said, right? Do it anyway. They might not. You know, I'm gonna can I cuss for a second?
Say, say what you want to say. Say what you
There's
want to say.
there's always gonna be assholes in this world, but that
Yes.
doesn't mean you and I have to be victim to them, right? When we do our stuff, we change our orbit and we don't have to be in their orbit. They're always gonna be there. The the Donald Trumps are always gonna be there. We can't wait for them not to be there to be okay. We gotta take our power back. And not that this is a woman's only problem, because it's not. Statistics say that the abuse is everywhere. The abuse has no color. The abuse has no age. The abuse has no nationality, no religion. Okay? Look at what they went through in late 1990s, right when they discovered all that stuff going on up in Boston with the priests. Clearly, there's no borders where abuse is not, has not crossed. So it's not about waiting for that stuff to clean up. It's about you and I taking our power back. And we take our power back when we heal. We take our power back when we don't find fault. We take our power back when we don't judge. That's how we take our power back. And then we move gracefully, hopefully, gracefully through our life, you know, having a higher awareness of what's possible and what's around us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 1 minute Daily Boost says or bias. So yeah,
Yes,
that's rapid as well.
yes,
And we also
yes,
talked about colorism.
yes.
And when one Donald Trump fall, another one stands in his place. So we can't
Snake
we
has
can't
many
worry
heads.
about that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We got
We know.
those who want a world that's different, we gotta stick together. And I don't mean to be this whole, like, not trying to be a whole rah-rah motivational thing right now, but the fact is, those of us who are conscious and want a better world have got to stick together. We've got to stand for each other. We've got to love on each other. We've got to model this, you know.
Yeah, and we got to stand up against the evil, okay, and injustice. We have to sacrifice, okay? We have to sacrifice
What
for
I don't know what
ourselves
you
and
mean
future
by that.
generations.
Tell me what you mean by sacrifice.
Well, I worked for the military for 39 years, okay? And so we have to stand for something on these principles, okay, on these values, and not let
Mm.
anyone distract us from our mission, okay? And we have to continue to move forward with that in mind. So it's a shared goal, shared purpose.
Well, there is no private good. There is no private good. There's also no private evil, but there's no private good. So that means because we live in a world where there is only one, now I'm going to get a little metaphysical on you here. There's only one unity, one unit of measure, and that's the one. So as any one of us goes, so goes the rest. So when you're healing, you pave the way and you change the fabric of reality just enough that then you make room for others to also heal and find their forgiveness and find their freedom. So when I say there's no private good, what that means that as I raise myself up by right of consciousness, by growing my awareness, by doing my work, I'm automatically taking you with me. Right? Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this conversation. This conversation is evidence that there's a churning and a new activity happening. There's a we're gonna I God I I'm grateful for this awareness that we have to stop tolerating less than. Stop tolerating the bullshit. Stop tolerating racism. Stop tolerating colorism. Stop tolerating abuse. We have to stop tolerating it because somehow when we tolerate it, we are silently complicit. And I'm not saying it's easy. No, I'm not saying any of this is easy. But what I do know is I've seen some changes in the world. I'm shocked that we went down this road that we did right now in the state of our country. I'm a little shocked because I'm also a romantic and I believe in ultimate good. So I'm a little shocked, but I was getting completely caught up in the political everything. And yes, I have marched, and yes, I've joined No King's Day, and I myself in my community, we facilitated years of anti-racism work with different studies, and it was all very powerful and very, um, elevating, I want to say. But we're not done. We need to continue. We're not done. But I'm gonna be more potent if I don't carry my pain into it. So, a little while back, I've decided that instead of commenting every time I see Trump in a social media post, what I've decided to do is I've deleted him from my life. I scroll past anything that acknowledges him. I will read New York Times articles and, competent news sources, but I am not giving my energy anymore to that person. I'm not giving my energy anymore to hate. I'm not giving it. I will pay attention so that I'm not um, ignorant, but I'm not sacrificing my personal power for anyone. For anyone. That's why I questioned you when you said the word sacrifice. I wasn't sure how you meant that, because I won't sacrifice the God ordained part of me. That's the part I have to lean on.
Having served 39 years in the military, all about loyalty and selfless service and duty. Okay. So that's still true for the underrepresented class, which I serve.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Growing up in the 1960s, who was there to fight for people that look like me and you?
Yeah.
Okay. And during the civil rights movement, everybody came together. They didn't care what color you were. They didn't care
Right.
what sex you were, what gender you were. Long as you are a like-minded individual, we work together hand in hand. And
Mhm.
that's how that movement was successful without social media.
Yeah. And and okay, so I like that you went there. So I want to say to your listeners, we do need to take a stand. I don't use the language that I'm standing against because I just don't use that language, okay? But we have to stand for each other. And I want to say that the more whole and healed you are, the more potent you are. So if I'm angry and vile and complaining and just being, keeping myself in the conversation around being a victim, I am less potent than I am as healed. Because healed, then my spoken word is aligned with the word, which is aligned with the power of the one, and you can call that whatever you want, but then my power is aligned in such a way that when I speak it, it has more impact. If we wanna have impact, you gotta heal your stuff, folks. You gotta heal your stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's see. We have some more comments here. Uh, an advocate of the spirit says, "No one has the right to make you feel less than
That's
we
right.
are."
Hallelujah.
Okay.
Yeah.
1 minute daily boost. I don't believe people made me feel. I'm just feeling at the moment
Yeah.
is my choice. It just
Yes.
looks like someone made me feel a
Right.
certain way.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, no one makes you feel anything. I mean, I don't know how far to go with certain things here, but no one makes you feel anything. And the
Say what you
more
want.
the what?
Say what you want.
Oh, well, yeah, I want to say focus on the forgiveness, but every single time we think someone made us feel something, we have given again, we give our power away. Every time, because and I can't fix something I'm not responsible for. First, there has to be a certain amount of personal agency. And then when I take that personal agency, then then no one out there can make me feel anything. And I don't know who that was again that said that, but the fact is that, yeah, my feeling is my reactions from my conditioning, my pain, my story, my trauma. And so as I clean it up and I heal it, it's gonna be more elevated for all of us. People, we have to get whole. We have to get whole.
Okay. 1 minute boost said also, what did he say? What did he say? He said, oh, I can't see it now. But the thing I want to say is that you authored also the 40 Days of Freedom, the Lenten practice for the modern mind.
Yeah. I wrote that for, I didn't grow up in a religion. I grew up in a spiritual community, a metaphysical spiritual community. So, I remember when I was a little girl walking around my neighborhood, which was clearly very Catholic, I never understood the smudges on people's heads on Ash Wednesday, right? And I remember looking at that and, thinking it was very strange. However, as a maturing adult, years ago, I thought, "Oh, that I love the tradition of transformation and letting go." And so the 40 days to freedom, which is interesting you say that because 'cause we're in the yeah, oh, there you go, in a Christian metaphysical minister, yeah. So when you bring awareness and you bring a metaphysical background to the practice, it's powerful. And so in the book, I talk about spending, every day there's a practice for 40 days, and it's about forgiveness and letting go and practicing all sorts of different things. But I want to walk to my day of renewal free, clean. And so the 40 days is a powerful practice, but I do it from a science of mind, Ernest Holmes point of view, which is it's not about suffering. Now, do you have to give stuff up? Yeah, you have to give up your bullshit. You have to give up your accusations. You have to give up your righteousness. Absolutely. Yeah, and he's saying something was a game changer, letting go. Letting go of righteousness, letting go of and let me say, when you're righteous, you are you might not be aware of it, but you're gonna be blinding yourself from what really matters. Because righteousness is when we give license to the old pain and it rises up. It has a kind of a stimulating feeling, being angry, being righteous. It's stimulating, but it's blinding to your truth. If I'm righteous about my opinion, I'm blinding myself to the truth. That's that's the truth. Yeah.
Wow. Well, yeah, drawing on the tradition of Lent, Reverend reframes the practice of modern spiritual seekers, offering daily prompts and exercises intended to support deeper self awareness and emotional freedom.
Lovely. Mhm.
Right. So, yeah. So
Wait,
you
where were
you
you
also
reading that from?
some talking points that I put together.
Oh, I thought you were talking about somebody else in here. You're still referring to that book.
Yes,
Yeah, I got it.
absolutely.
Yes,
Because
yes, I'm okay. I'm with you. I thought you were talking
yeah,
about somebody else. That's what I was wondering.
you, you.
And I tell you, because I I love metaphysics. I've been a metaphysician my entire life. It must be this way same people feel about being whatever religion they are, but I love the freedom metaphysics offers me. 'Cause I don't ha I can take the traditions of a Christian tradition if I feel like they're gonna feed my soul, and while Judaism has issues for me in some ways and the misogyny that's in there, um, I love that they're all about practicing their religion in their home. Like, what a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Um, yeah, yeah, so as a metaphysician, I don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And face it, there is no religion that doesn't have forgiveness at the heart of what they do. It's everywhere. Every prosperity teacher talks about the need for forgiveness because not forgiving keeps us stiff, keeps us resistant, keeps us, in that rigid, that rigid place. So when we practice forgiveness, all of a sudden there's a flow, there's an ease, there's a grace, and, yeah, it's a beautiful thing, it's a beautiful thing.
It is, and so you regularly share deep reflections through your Substack, offering real life examples and encouragement for those ready to embrace change. And you and I work intersect, and when you talk about religion, they intersect as well.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
as we know, we all descendants from Adam and Eve, so we're all brother and sister. We are one. Oh, maybe I touched something there and you can speak on it.
Um, no, I don't know, I just that's not necessarily what I subscribe to, but I'm not here to,
Okay.
you know
Okay.
I
Okay.
do
I hear
believe
you.
I do believe we're all spiritual brothers and sisters because I believe there's only one, which is a really that's way off topic.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why I avoid talking about religion and politics because we can go down a rabbit hole. And when I'm done, I'll see that I've lost like 4 or 5 subscribers. So it is what it is. That's why I stopped counting the numbers. Okay. If you want to leave, leave. When you come back to yourself or grow up, you can come back and join us.
That's a little judgmental on your part, my friend. Because here's the thing, I'm not here to convince anyone of anything other than the practicality of emotionally healing, and that's if you're a Muslim, if you're a Christian, if you're a Jew, I don't care what. The f Finding freedom from your pain and trauma is the part that counts. That's what matters, is freedom
Okay.
from that. Yeah, yeah. No, I'm just stating it to the listeners. W w we can all be at the same table. We can all be at the same table, and we could be at the table best if we subscribe to not doing harm and to not finding fault and that's easiest when we've done our forgiveness work, because when we do our forgiveness work, we free ourselves from the attachment of the pain. Some people stay attached because they don't know how to identify themselves without the pain. Some people don't know how to identify themselves outside of being a victim. I'm just
You
tying
know,
it.
you're right. You're absolutely right. Now that I'm retired from the federal government, I'm so at peace and I don't have anything to
So
excuse my language. I
I
don't have anything to bitch about and I don't have anything to be mad with anyone about. And so I am feeling so much freedom that I really just it's just like Alice in Wonderland or I walked into a candy store and I'm like I don't know what to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the there is there is a love. There is a divine love that birthed all of us. And the pain happens when we forget that we were all born of that same love. And some of us were born under horrible conditions. So I know, because I know the statistics again. So I know there's someone out there saying, well, my mother was raped. I get it. I mean, that's not what happened to me, but I work with enough individuals. I get it. And somewhere there's an element of love that got shared with each of us, even in those horrific circumstances, because there's a place within each of us that has never been hurt, harmed, or injured in any way. There's a part of us that nobody can take away. There's a part of us that nobody can harm. And if we remember to go and look at that part and to contemplate upon that part, it will expand within us. Things can happen to your body, things can happen to you or humanity, but there's a part of your soul that is precious and it's deep within your inner landscape, and it cannot be hurt, harmed, or injured in any way. When when I teach my classes, I ask my students to spend time contemplating upon that part, because it is where you and I meet up. It's like having a namaste practice. And I can look at you and say, Margaret, that which is perfect, whole, and complete within me is perfect, whole, and complete within you. It's perfect, whole, and complete in each of your listeners. It exists. It's real. It's real. And if you can buy into it for just a minute in listening to me, just for a minute, you'll find that that matters more than our opinions about how wrong the world is. And if we focus there and we keep connecting with each other with that focus, it's going to grow. It's going to grow.
I don't know what to say. Let me see if anybody have any questions. Lamar says we are at the same table. We don't know it fully.
Right. Yeah, that's true. It's true. If I
Um,
when and I want to add to this, when you learn to love yourself as completely as you possibly can, and I say that because that will grow. You love yourself as you are and as you are not, then that's when then you can start loving people as they are and as they are not. It has to be about love, folks.
they say love make the world go round.
Yeah, I buy it. The world needs love right now. The people in this country need love right now. Um, the unhoused need love right now. The LGBTQ plus community needs a lot of love right now. Our Native American, we do all this bitching, moaning, and complaining about so many things. We forget we are living on stolen land. We are living on stolen land. And so there's a lot of places where it would be good for us just to be the presence of love in each other's lives, even in the White House. Even in the White House. But I won't pick that up too much.
Wow, this has been truly powerful. So, what advice or suggestions can you give to people like myself and others who are going to be that's been ostracized from their family and have to spend the holidays alone?
You don't really have to spend the holidays alone. I bet if you look around, you can find someone, number 1. You can find a church that's feeding people and get involved. Be the if you can't be if you can't be invited, then be the source. Be the source of good, you know? Um, spend time reaching out, spend time texting, making phone calls. Be the source of good, and make it like, "Okay, so they didn't invite me." Like, don't give it power. Don't make it a story, because it will be painful to the degree that we subscribe to that story. So, you eat alone every other day of the week. Why is Thanksgiving different? It's different because we say it's different. It's different because of our expectations. It's different because of our attachment. Remember, you and I, by right of consciousness, by our actions, by our comments, um, by our expectations, we create the reality we're experiencing. So, I'm sorry, this is gonna sound cold, and believe me, there's not a cold bone in my body. There's not a cold bone in my body, but I wanna tell you something, that you and I create what we're experiencing. Let it go. Let it go. Sit down with a good book and a good movie and just love on yourself. And then, after the holidays, think about who you have to be to help to heal those separations with the family. Think about that. And are they gonna still reject you because 'cause you're different? It's possible. It is possible. There's your soft boundary. Find a new tribe. Find a tribe that loves you as you are. Oh, wait, so he said something else. I can't read the comments down here, but there's another comment.
Let me see if I can see it.
"Oh, I'll hang out with anyone here on Substack." Yeah, open a and we've done this, my gold community when during COVID, like, on Christmas morning, I opened the Zoom room and I just invited people, "Come on in, say hello." And people were popping in and out, like, be the source. Stop thinking, be the source, be the one, be the one. I recently rekindled a relationship with a niece, a precious niece. Long, very complicated story, and none of it needs to be told right now. And I spent the afternoon with her the other day, taking her out to lunch and just listening to her because she doesn't get listened to enough. Man, it felt so rich. If you want what you want, people, you got to be the source of it. Be the source of generosity, the source of compassion, the source of all of it.
I'm
Man.
glad you said that because I plan on doing something like for the day before Thanksgiving to open up and people come in, we can have dinner together. And through the holidays, I want to
Mhm.
do this, because people are looking for community and connection, and so am I.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
that's why I'm here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, Zoom works. Those of you who have a community, I know it sounds a little weird. I know it does. And we can condemn Zoom, and I love people, and I love hugging, and I love closeness, but if it wasn't for Zoom, I wouldn't have the relationships and students I have from all around the country, and Canada, and Mexico. I mean, it has given life to me in ways that other things haven't, that other things haven't. So, opening it up, and people thank me all the time just because they need to connect. I'm teaching a class right now, it's called Dance Like Nobody's Watching, which is the name of my book that's coming out in June, and I decided to create a text thread. Well, these women are loving on each other, loving, loving, loving on each other. It is so powerful. So powerful. Oh my gosh, it is just we need the love. We need the love.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And that's why I'm here. Okay. And that's why you're here. And we're all here. So how can we come together? Okay.
Well, I think you're doing this. I think this is a wonderful, wonderful thing. If for anyone who does want more information about me, it is michellewadleigh.com, and my name is somewhere, yeah, on scrolling there. We are gonna be offering a, retreat in Arizona in spring, of 2026. You can get on my website, get classes. The people that connect through my courses, some of them become prayer partners for years, years and years. We do these things called connection calls, which is every week they have to call someone in the class. I give them a set of questions just to prompt them, but they don't have to do it. So people are getting love and support from people all around, like all around the world. It's stunning. It's really stunning. I love it.
Well, I want to thank you so much for your time today and sharing everything. I will include an article with all of your book links and how
Oh,
everyone can get in contact with you.
well, there was a lot of people on here, and I want to say to those you in here, thank you. Thank you. And I saw a couple of people I know, Sandy Dell, I saw you in here, and Joelle Herrera, I saw you in here. So I'm glad to see some familiar people. And let's all just do better. Let's just do better.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Margaret, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for doing this on a Sunday. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. My pleasure. My pleasure. Absolutely. Be well, my friend.
You too. Thank you. Bye bye.
All
Thank you
right.
all. Bye.
Thank you.
Mhm.